you have someone stuck inside your mind? Relentlessly taking over your thoughts. But why? Even as time goes by, as life moves on, that presence remains, pulsing in silence, as if something was left unfinished, something not yet understood. And no matter how hard you try to rationalize or forget, the feeling returns. This is not weakness, nor is it attachment or obsession. It's a calling. And for the chosen ones, this doesn't happen by accident. It happens by mission. Those who carry the mark of being a chosen one have a sharper sensitivity, a mind more attuned to the voices of the unseen, and a heart programmed to awaken. It's not easy, because the consciousness that came to transform must first confront everything that was once denied. When someone keeps showing up in a chosen one's thoughts, it's not just a memory, it's a message. And that's exactly why this video found its way to you. It wasn't an accident. Carl Jung, Swiss psychiatrist, and one of the most respected and studied minds in human psychology, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." If you feel like you're living this experience right now but already sense you found the right content for your liberation, then comment below right now. I recognize all of this, but I've found the right video, and I'm already free. First, I want you to understand that the mind of a chosen one is a vibrational portal. Your mind is not just a center of thought. It is an active vibrational portal. It constantly captures, interprets, and emits frequencies. That's why archetypes, memories, and spiritual connections manifest with far greater intensity. When someone or something from the past settles into the thoughts of a chosen one, it's not just about the person, it's about the energy they awakened. Sometimes that person made you feel rejected, and that rejection triggered an old memory, maybe from childhood. In other cases, they made you feel seen like never before, and that nurtured a false belief in the need to belong and be validated by others, which then became addictive. What lingers in your mind is not the event, but the emotional frequency wrapped around it. A person who ignored you might leave a deeper mental imprint than someone who loved you. That's because the feeling of invisibility activates an old wound that still needs healing. It's not about the other. It's about you. Always. In this video, I'll show you how this connects to three powerful forces: projection, the shadow, and your inner archetypes. Each one holds a key, and when activated, they reveal exactly what your unconscious is trying to show you. Remember, for someone with a calling, a thought is never just a thought. It's a creative frequency. The first fundamental force is projection, when the other is just you in disguise. Projection is one of the most common and most deceptive phenomena of the human psyche, and chosen ones are especially sensitive to it. It's a silent and dangerous force of the unconscious. It happens when parts of ourselves we don't recognize or have rejected are cast onto others as if they belong to them. That's exactly why chosen ones feel such emotional intensity in certain connections. They're looking at themselves without realizing it. The other becomes a mirror, and the reflection that appears can be just as beautiful as it is disturbing. That's when everything starts to blur. Here's an example of a very common projection that often happens in romantic relationships. When someone feels an overwhelming anger toward their partner for being cold or distant, what's often happening is that they're projecting their own difficulty in expressing affection, or even their unmet need for affection from a parent, like a father or mother. Instead of recognizing this internal limitation, the unconscious mind throws it outward, and the other person becomes the villain. the connection turns into a battlefield between what is mine and what is theirs, without anyone realizing it. Another example. When you deeply admire someone for their courage, boldness, or independence, that intense fascination may be a sign that those same qualities are within you, but haven't yet been developed. It's as if the other person reminds you of who you could be, and that's why they become unforgettable. The problem is, without that awareness, you idealize, fantasize, and suffer over something that's actually just a dormant part of your own essence. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." That quote may sound simple, until you start living it. Because when you realize the other person is not the problem, but the mirror, something inside you changes forever. You stop trying to fix them and begin asking, what part of me is trying to reveal itself through this person? And this is the most delicate point for chosen ones. Because the more light you carry, the more life reveals your hidden shadows. Projection becomes a tool of the unconscious to clearly show you what still needs to be integrated. And the more we deny it, the stronger the thoughts about the other person become. The mind insists, until the lesson is revealed. You're not being punished, you're being reminded. Projections happen all the time, with family, friends, co-workers, even public figures. And for chosen ones, this kind of projection comes loaded with strange sensations, like déjà vus, intuitions, or even recurring dreams. That's because your spiritual psyche is trying to communicate with your conscious mind. When you begin to observe your thoughts attentively, you start to recognize the signs of your own awakening. Projection is just the beginning. It's like a reflection on the surface of the water. But now, let's dive deeper into the part of the mind where all that was rejected still hides. We're talking about your shadow, and that's what we're going to uncover now. The inner shadow. The shadow is made up of everything you didn't want, weren't able, or didn't know how to recognize in yourself. These are rejected fragments of your own identity. Traits that, because they didn't fit into what you considered ideal, were pushed down into the unconscious. But they don't disappear. They just hide. And that's exactly why chosen ones feel the presence of the other so intensely. Because that presence touches the wound the shadow is trying to protect. Thinking about someone too much may be the echo of something within you, asking for integration. Let me give you a direct example. Imagine you're constantly bothered by someone who is extremely selfish, and the thought of that person haunts you. There's a real chance that this person is triggering your own difficulty in setting boundaries or prioritizing yourself. In this case, your shadow doesn't want you to become selfish. It wants you to recognize your need for autonomy. The shadow is not the evil within you. It's the part that was left behind so you could be accepted. Let me be clear. We use the word shadow not to define something negative, but simply something hidden. Looking at your shadows doesn't necessarily mean facing something bad. Every shadow is a frequency, an information wave from the all, just like everything else in the universe. And it wants to manifest in your conscious mind to expand your levels of joy and love. I see myself in this shadow, and I choose to integrate it. Just leave this comment below if you're beginning to understand what's happening with you and have already made the decision to look within. Let's move on. For chosen ones, external validation is never enough. The soul only finds prosperity when it embraces itself fully. Jung once said, "The other is a mirror of what we deny in ourselves." And that's why certain encounters hurt, because they make us look inward, even when everything in us wants to look outward. The shadow is persistent, subtle, and sacred. And when it rises, it's not to haunt you. It's to remind you of what still needs to be embraced. The universe doesn't waste a recurring thought. If someone won't leave your mind, it's because there's still something of yours in that experience, asking to be healed. And maybe this is the moment to answer that call. The enigmatic third force comes from Archetypes, Anima and Animus, the search for inner completion. Carl Jung taught that every human being carries within them a complementary principle. In men, the anima, their inner feminine. In women, the animus, their inner masculine. But for chosen ones, this dynamic isn't just symbolic. It's alive, vibrant, and active. When someone shows up persistently in your thoughts, it's often because they've touched that dormant energy within you. It's not blind passion. It's a call to wholeness. It's your unconscious saying, "Look at this. It's time to integrate." Here's an example. A woman who is deeply in touch with her sensitivity might begin to obsessively think about a man who is firm, rational, and direct. Even if he's not deeply present in her life, he represents the inner strength she needs to develop. On the other hand, a man might be drawn to a woman who is free, spiritual, and intuitive. Not just out of desire, but because she activates the dimension within him that needs liberation. This is more common than most imagine, especially among those who came to break patterns and expand consciousness. The soul of the chosen one longs for balance. It knows that union with the all only happens when the inner masculine and feminine begin to reconcile. This is not about gender. It's about energy. That's how you transcend neediness and access true emotional and spiritual prosperity. When you stop seeking in others what is missing within you, you begin to feel whole. And then, even if certain people remain in your memory, they no longer feel like wounds. They become symbols, a reminder that your complete self is already within you, waiting to be lived. The other person only lingers in your mind because there's still something in you asking for attention. It's no longer about the person themselves, but about the part of you that was activated in that encounter. The chosen one is set free when they understand they're not being punished. They're being called to heal. Running away from this healing is what keeps the cycle alive. When you embrace what the other came to show you, everything shifts. The lesson is absorbed, the energy comes into balance, and the obsession dissolves naturally. What once felt like a burden becomes a portal. You're not thinking about that person. You're trying to remember who you really are. So embrace this process as a gift. The universe doesn't make mistakes when it sends messages to a chosen one's mind. Each persistent thought is a compass pointing toward your reintegration. And if you now feel ready for the next step, write in the comments, "I'm now ready to transcend this because I am an iZenither." I'll know exactly who the most committed and aligned souls are on this journey. I truly want to support your path, and that's why, if you leave this final comment, I'll take a moment to meditate and intuitively choose another video from this channel that holds the exact message you need right now. I'll reply to your comment with the link to that video. And remember, you are not here to find a purpose. You are the purpose, experiencing itself. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope to see you in the next video. A life of infinite possibilities awaits you.